And then open our fingers. We're just going to go into the basic stance here. The use of Zhan Zhuang in men's work, they're pushing into their posture like they're pushing out a turd. Burn through it and fight your way through it, hold space. Let me feel my energy center. What is happening? Hello, beautiful, strange world. Welcome to yet another park here in Vancouver. Today I want to touch on a topic in a way that I think will trigger quite a few people. Hopefully, even if you think I'm wrong, which I'm not saying I'm right, maybe it'll make you question how you see this topic. It has to do with something that arises in men's work that I've seen, which I've been involved in. I was in the Arca Brotherhood for 2 years, which is a large men's organization, mainly centered here in Vancouver, but it has locations around. And I follow different groups on Instagram and around on YouTube. And something I've seen arise is the use of Zhan Zhuang in men's workshops and facilitations. And Zhan Zhuang is a standing practice that is found in Qigong. It's also found in internal martial arts, and there's many different forms. In Xingyi, Santi-Shi, come up and down, and something like this. In Bagua, we have 8 hand postures that we use while walking in a low posture. Tai Chi will use, holding the ball. And there's other styles where it's 1 foot forward. And so they have many different uses. And then, of course, you have them in hard martial arts, like, we see in Shaolin, or maybe watching Drunken Master with, Jackie Chan and Zui Chuan. I see it in this men's work. And what I see in the men's work is it's used as some kind of warrior training. I'm not saying that that's not part of it, because it is an uncomfortable practice and it does develop something of a warrior mindset. But at the same time, it's so much more. And I just don't think the way I see it, I'm not saying everyone does this, but the way I've seen it a number of times being utilized within men's work is the most fruitful and advantageous approach. Yeah, I just think they're getting it wrong a lot of times. It's not just hold a posture and lock into it and burn through it and fight your way through it, hold space. That's not what it's about. It's more so like feel the pain, experience it. Don't objectify, don't identify it, just experience it and hold space for that whole experience. I would say it's more of a listening practice than anything else. I've watched and I really try to be non-judgmental and allow, which of course I do allow. Everyone can do what they want, but seeing guys holding Zhan Zhuang and pushing it like they're pushing out of shit, it's just like, what are you doing? Who taught you that? Sensations do come, and rather than fixate on the energy or on the pain, the Tao Te Ching says it arises and the Tao lets it be. It subsides and the Tao lets it be. So this is a posture where we lock in and we allow things to arise and come out. And then we allow it for nothing to be happening. Oh, well, I'm not getting anything out of this practice. Well, maybe you are. It's just not getting what you want, which is some kind of stimulus and response. So, it's a practice of inner peace, I would say, in a lot of ways, and cultivation in that we cultivate that peace through it. Within the internal martial arts, there's a lot of people that I have met that do lots of standing, and when you touch them, there's nothing there. And it's, so for, people that practice standing on a daily basis or on a semi-daily, regular basis, to have no fruit from it, maybe other than relaxation. And then I go and see these men at these men's retreat. I think it's missing a whole part of it. This is Daoist practice. There's doing and non-doing. And this is a doing practice. I find until I had a Daoist teacher, I didn't understand Taoism. in the way I do barely now from having instructors. This is not non-doing. It's very non-doing, but it's still a doing practice. This is getting close to non-doing, but I'm still in the realm of duality. So if people that are training Zhan Zhuang regularly are bearing ill fruit from it or no fruit, and then these men retreats are teaching it probably something that they learned from a men's retreat or from a weekend workshop and calling it their own. Well, I just say it's not honest or in alignment, especially, with some of the principles that I learned in men's work through the Arc of Brotherhood, being of integrity, someone that's just got a motorcycle license probably shouldn't be a motorcycle teacher, like with sailing, and same with standing, which like Yi Chuan is an internal martial art. That's pretty much the practice. So they get into some movements, but it's an art of standing essentially. And that's a lifelong practice. So yeah, I just had to talk about that. The integrity within men's work and the use of Zhan Zhuang. It's not just warrior training. And if it is warrior training, take a warrior posture, not the healing lower dantian, middle dantian, upper dantian posture, and plow through that. Ugh, let me feel my energy center. What is happening? Anyways, I feel like Damo Mitchell right now talking about the situation, which is it's fun. I like him. I like hearing his dialogues on narratives. So perhaps I'm in good company. Anyways, so yeah, when looking at Zhan Zhuang, I would say some of the basic things are it's expansive. We're looking to expand through the body. Some say stacking the joints. I think it's more so than stacking the joints, is that everything's kind of floating. There's space being created inside the joints. It's expansive. So it's not stacking like you might do in bone stacking in some forms of martial arts or yoga. It's more bouncy. It's called song, active relaxation. And there are different approaches. I'm not going to say my approach is right or even correct. My teacher would, every time I go, he'll touch me and be like, whoa, and it's like instantly I'm in immense pain. To give a story that he told, he was training with one of his sifus, and he was doing something called a Daniel, downwards, like it's a squat essentially. And his teacher asked him, how many of those can you do? And it's like, oh, I can do them for half an hour. And the teacher said, oh, amazing. I can only do 10 of them. We're talking about integrative exercises where we string the body together, and the body is lively. It's not rigid like a rock. It's bendy like the branches of these trees in the wind. It has that flexibility. And then the human aspect is, yes, we have these structures, but then we also can subtly move with it. We respond. We hold the structure, but the whole structure moves with tensegrity and can bounce back or whatever is the appropriate response. So yeah, I just had to get that out. And let's go through the Qigong stance a little bit. Please share your comments with this and like it if you like the video, and yeah, comment if you disagree. I probably would disagree with myself watching this 5 times. So I take no offense to it. We're all here on a different path, but I just wanted to clear some of what I consider misconceptions or perhaps lack of training in the practice of Zhan Zhuang and standing as I see it pertain to men's work. I won't get into what I feel about in internal martial arts. I think it's great. It's just, I think some people don't align properly. And I've heard that there's like Qigong standing very soft. There's Neigong, like internal martial arts, Ninja Gong Fu, and that's more full and it's more pong and projecting outward. And then there's dead standing. It's just like, it's not engaged. It's like doing this does nothing. I heard Adam Chan say it, you know, doing this does nothing. It's the intention that allows you to do things that seem a little bit, well, at least not normal, right? In the proper alignment. So enough rambling, let's get into it. Whew. Okay, so we're going to use a basic Qigong stance, and I will communicate how I understand it, and also communicate a little bit on some different variations on how I have seen other people do it. Basically, how I understand it is we put our weight on the whole foot, centering on the bubbling well. Now, the bubbling well is kind of like right in the middle of like where the ball of the foot is. If your toes are there, it's kind of like in that same kind of spot as in here. And these are considered acupuncture points. This is the bubbling well. So we load that spot up, and then the whole foot touches. So the toes touch, the edges of the foot touch, and the heels touch. So the whole foot is touching, but we focus the weight into that spot. So we bend our ankles, our knees, and then we sink into the hips as well. So I tilt forward, and then I drop. So I keep the forward as much as possible, back drops. And that's going to take a long time, and often supplementary exercises, depending on how much closure and fascial tension is in there. Then for the spine, we want to open up our scapula or the shoulder blades. So we kind of pull the shoulders apart and the armpits open. Drop the tailbone, armpits open, shoulders open. And ideally, we want to have the back being full. So almost like take a stick and the spine, even though the spine looks straight, it is kind of, I'll do the opposite, bowed like that. We load it. So it has a springing energy to it, right? So when we stand, the back fills. They say the chi sticks to the spine, right? So we're going to sink into the back, lower into what's called the quad or the inguinal crease, lower the sacrum, drop to the tailbone, and then feet evenly distributed onto the whole foot, centered in the bubbling well. That's the basics for the hips, legs, and spine. Getting into the neck, we're going to tuck our chin in. So this is called gun. So it means like we raise our head, but we're not raising our head like this. We are tucking the chin in and counter rotating the head. So when we rotate, it elongates the spine more. So again, stringing the body. If you take a stick like this, oh yeah, perfect. You take a stick like this, it's weak, breaks easily. We pull on it and it loads it, and it gains a level of tension. That tension strengthens it and makes it have a dynamic strength, so things don't affect it. This is the tensegrity. So when we look at our stance, we're building tensegrity through the spine. It should feel tight. You don't want to cave the chest in. So when we tuck the chin in, gun it, even if I'm like this here, nice and relaxed, right? Really relaxed in the chest. As I gun, it makes it look like I'm puffing my chest out, but I'm not. My back is open, my scapula is open, my shoulders are open. Next, we're going to open up the elbows, so we want everything round. And again, elongate. We sink into the legs, but it creates a rising energy through the spine. And then that rising extends out, elbows down, shoulders out, fingers opening. And we want to open the hand. This is called the tiger's mouth. Fingers, the thumb and pinky extend away from each other. Index finger and pinky extend away from each other. And there's a roundness to it. It's not bent backward like this, but it's round, creating a hollow. Okay, so if you put your hand on a basketball and extend your fingers around the basketball, it has that kind of feel. It's, it's not straightening, it's elongating. It's different. It's called, we're not pushing, we're expanding. We're not pulling, we're contracting. So we have these kind of concepts. Open our fingers. We're just going to go into the basic stance here, which is hands lightly facing each other. We're not even going into hold the ball, okay? So one more time. Feet parallel, shoulder width apart. Now, if we want to add a bit more pressure, or sort of say turn up the valve a bit, we can turn our toes in ever so slightly, as long as we have strong legs, and then from the hip joints, just twist and rotate into the ground, spiral force, and then use that to open up the sacrum, drop the tailbone, open the spine, open the armpits. Gun, raise the crown, tuck the chin in, which open the chest a little bit, armpits open, extend the elbows down, fingers open, tiger claw, and then finally tongue touching the upper palate. Eyes relaxed. Rather than sitting back on the heel, make sure the weight stays in the bubbling well, and we're almost slightly forward. And then we're going to focus on our abdomen. And just don't worry about doing a long breath. Just focus on the abdomen and hang out for a while. The breathing will do its own thing. Things will start to loosen up. Things will start to ache. Let it happen. If some moving happens, let the moving happen. If the moving happens, don't ride and hang out with the moving. Just let it happen and let it subside. It's a watching process. So we're just going to watch and experience what happens here. Next video, I'll go deeper into the postures. Hope you liked it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And again, if you disagree with what I said there, please share your thoughts. Have a beautiful, wonderful day.